So there's a lot to play here with our friends here we have from our province. Okay, so then we have some flour. So don't add the flour all at once. Just go as you wish. Just sometimes you don't need that much flour. You know, sometimes you drained your lentils really well and they don't want to take that much flour on. Maybe one day you are in a rush and the lentils are not drained and it's more watery and you might want to add more flour. So there might be lots of components why you might need all the flour or not. Okay, so you see, and then just go and see. And now that I added the flour, I'm also going to add a little bit more salt because the flour is not salted. And then we are going to mix this all up. I'm going to put my next frying pan on. And you see here, this is pretty much what I like to see. So once this is now hot, I'm going to stir in the Brussels sprouts. And again, a little bit of salt here on top. And then we are going to mix this. And like you see, I have everything very close to me so that I don't have to run around everywhere. And in the meantime, things are burning. So, non-stick pan for the rest of these cakes here. Going to turn on the heat. Again, same idea. Medium-high heat. See, and now our relish is already done. You see? And because you shave the Brussels sprouts, they will basically cook and stay kind of partially cooked and slightly raw. So you have some interesting like textures you eat through the dish. Okay, and it looks pretty festive here. It looks like a little Christmas tree with some red in there. Going back to the idea of the turkey, filling it with some red stuff. All right, so now, see, this is what my great-grandmother made for me, and I still have it. It's been 20 years. I will put this hot pan right there. So now that we have this, again, I would say if you add a little bit of chili in here, this is really nice. And if you make like almost a little garlicky, minty yogurt with that and a nice little salad, this is a super sweet snack you can have. Rosemary, are you writing everything down? Can't hear you. Can't hear you. Okay, I can't hear you. Sorry. Maybe you tell me later what you did. Okay, so now we have this, and now we are going to fry them. So in the recipe it says take a nice little spoonful. So because it's a brunch recipe, we are going to look at this kind of portion, okay? And then the frying pan, can you see this frying pan over here now? You can see it? Carrie, can you see it? Okay, perfect. So now we use a nice amount of canola oil. We want to make them kind of swim in there. Okay, so enough canola oil to cover. And then I move this over here, and then we are going to put this one in. And we're just going to start frying them. All right. So we are going to do 3. And then
maybe bring the camera over to the, okay, maybe, yeah, to the pan too, just to see what you've done.
Okay, yeah, sure, I can do that. Hang on.
Just quickly, we can see the pan, but we can't see inside the pan. Oh,
can
there
you
we
see
go.
it now? Okay, yeah. So we got it right there. Okay, so we have this now. So we all know how we feel about COVID. So making a schnitzel at home is perfect because you really can bang this thing. You can let it all out. You know, what I usually do with my kids is when they get a bit cranky and the energy is a little too much, I say, let's make some pizza dough. And we are slapping the dough like this on the counter and we let it all out. And that's what you're going to do with the schnitzel too. I mean, you know, I talked just recently on CBC about making schnitzel, and I said you can schnitzel anything. You can schnitzel bacon, you can schnitzel eggplant, you can schnitzel brie cheese. Like once you know the 1, 2, 3 little components you need, It's a very, very easy thing to do. Okay, so our lentil cakes are going here. We have our butter that is going to melt for our hollandaise, and I'm going to turn on our water for the poached eggs. So when you make this dish, I highly recommend you make the lentil cakes and you make your chutney and you get your schnitzel ready. So, and then everything you just plop in the oven, and the chutney you just keep warm. And then you concentrate just on the hollandaise and the poached egg. Don't do everything at once because this is a little tricky, okay? Let me check the time. We are 17 minutes already in, and I haven't even started the schnitzel yet, but I'm also taking my time now. So use pork loin, okay? Go to a local butcher or go to the farmer's market and buy some nice pork loin. So what you can do here is you can either use saran wrap or parchment paper. It's fully up to you. And I just cut them small today. So just like very thin, and we want to pound them into thin little steaks, okay? So, and then I'm going to put them here in between. And usually I was looking for my little pounder today and I couldn't find it. So what I usually use too is a pot. You hear that? And this is the COVID-19 pandemic aggression coming out on the schnitzel. There, you see? So pound it evenly and make them into these tiny little friends. You know, so you can also, you know, if you have this and you don't want to bread them, you can also stuff them with some interesting things like cheddar cheese, a little apricot, maybe some green onion puree, and then you roll them into these little friends here, poke a little toothpick in, and schwupp-de-whoop, you're done. You see? Okay? Shall we do another one? Okay, that's it. All we do. So now we have those. And again, I'm going to wash my hands here. This could be a little loud behind my laptop. So then in the meantime, I'm taking you over to these little lentil cakes. You see? They're getting nicely cooked. So I have them on like a medium heat. So you really want to cook them nice and evenly, not too fast. You see that? And when I'm going to flip them up, let's see how they look like. They're already browning. Oh yeah, see that? There we go. That's what you're looking for. Like 3-4 minutes on each side, and that's it. So now I'm going to turn down the heat a little bit more because we're also doing the schnitzel here very soon. And I'm going to reheat them again for later. They can just hang out here on the fat. All right, so next. All right, so what we have here is panko. You can also do breadcrumbs. If you have some old stale bread and you have a little food processor, you can throw this in there and just grind it up and you have your own breadcrumbs. You can freeze them. You can also add some fresh herbs in there like thyme, rosemary is really, really nice. What you can also do is you can add some hazelnuts in there if you like. This is really nice if you bread some goat's cheese. So you have a lot of options to flavor your breadcrumbs. You don't have to just leave them like that. What we also have is some flour. What we need is an egg. So I'm just bringing the egg over. So just one egg. And I'm going to just whisk it up a little bit. And most likely you might have all these ingredients already in your house. So when you make, for example, mozzarella sticks, you take the piece of mozzarella and you do exactly the same. Okay, you could also marinate the mozzarella cheese in some balsamico beforehand or some pesto or whatever comes to mind. So now, because you pounded that schnitzel so thin, like you can see, you really, really want to be careful with your seasoning. So just very gentle, you are going to season that on each side. So when I see sometimes people seasoning, they're just swirling around. So when you season something, just very accurately, stay with it and season it properly so that not one side is super salty and the other side is left behind. Okay, a little bit of pepper. Pepper is also an interesting thing. Pepper also tastes different. I use organic pepper because I find it way milder and not harsh. Okay, again, going to season this now with this. Going to wash my hands again because of cross-contamination on my pepper mill. And then we're going to add some pepper here, and that's about it. So, first, the flour, okay? Always the flour first. So toss it nicely in the flour. Make sure it is completely floured. Sometimes you can just pat it a little bit so it's not too floury there and it's even. Because if it's not evenly floured, it will not stick on your next level. So then we have our egg, and here it's recommended you take a little fork and then you're going to flip this over. Make sure, again, it's nicely tossed in your egg. There we go. And then we bring our breadcrumbs over here. So, you know, when we do this in like a professional kitchen and we do like very typical, it's like risotto, arancini, you might have heard that, leftover risotto, same idea, flour, egg, and breadcrumbs, and then you deep fry that. It's like perfect, but sometimes you have to make like 300, then we have a total line. One person is doing the flour, the next person tosses it in the egg, and the next person is going into the breadcrumbs. Because your hands are getting wet if you do this by yourself. And so it's not really nice if you want to put the breadcrumbs on after you are using the egg. So you see right now, we are going to press this nicely in here. And that is that. So that's our schnitzel, you see? Traditionally, it's made with veal. I have some conscious issues with that, so I usually use pork. There we go. So, and then we are going to fry this up. So, again, we will put our frying pan on. And see right now there's a lot of stuff happening here. Pushing the stuff now over. Okay, can you see everything? Just going to have a sip of water. Hang on. Okay, so we are going to make a hollandaise and we are also going to poach eggs here. So, but first of all, I have this frying pan on where we are doing the schnitzel in, okay? Nice little cast iron pan. It's very reliable if you want to sear something off and keeps the heat really nicely. Very easy to handle. This one is extremely heavy. But yeah, it's very good for fish if you want like a nice crispy skin. This is really nice for that. So again, we will wait until our frying pan is nice and hot because these little schnitzel, they will cook extremely fast. So what you want to have here, usually it's cooked in like a deep, shallow dish in like Austria and Germany, and it's just swimming in fat. And they will mix in some canola oil and some butter. But today, because we are also making a hollandaise, we want to really kind of even everything out and don't want to over butter something or over like acidic something. So it all has to come together. Otherwise, you only eat like one layer of pure fat. You know what I'm saying? Yes? Okay. All right. Where's your wine? Don't forget. Drink your wine. Okay. Now, the frying pan is hot. Again, we waited long enough. We can already tell. And then in we go with our